I think I started noticing things changing when I started secondary school, which was, I think, in 2006, 2007. And but I didn't know and I didn't really care. It's only in 2009 that I noticed lots of like very trendy looking people.
My name is Kieran Yates and I'm sat here with Ayo Akingbade in East London to talk about space and community. So can you tell me a little bit about how your work is informed by everything we see outside in terms of housing?
When I started university, I was studying like lots of the greats, so Hitchcock, Truffaut, Godard, and I think there was a disconnect. And so I decided to make works that I was like close to home, literally like works that I wanted to see. And so that's how I started to make works. And then, so at the time I was in Dorset and I grew up there, and I was seeing lots of changes, and I was kind of confused, like, what is this? Oh, it's gentrification, okay, what is that? Who's benefiting off that, etc. And then that's how I started building up this body of work, and yeah, so that's how I started.
Okay, do you want to tell me a little bit about your work? Because I was thinking about the Elephant Castle video and how you're a living archive for what simply doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell me about that? And that video is very beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, so I went to LCC many years ago. I remember going through the shopping mall and everyone like hated it. Like it was just so old country. Like it wasn't like, I don't know, like Westfield.
Yeah.
But then I grew to love it. I liked like finding like weird shops with weird objects. And I randomly like heard it was going to close down, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I got my Super 8 camera and I just went around filming everything. And then that became Deadfin. As an artist, you're always like, okay, what more can I say about this topic? One thing, I think whenever you go in London, the geography is very different. So even though people are like, yeah, I'm from London, what London are you part of? Like where, because London is big, and that's like a big realization also when I make work. There's a different energy, there's a different vibe,
And East is what you know.
East is what I know, yes, it is.
They're geographically different, but the communities remain the same. When I think of Elephant, I think of the Latin American community. I think of people coming to dance after, after everyone's left. And so everyone has their own across London, and your work is really about putting that out.
I hope I can continue making these works, but then I don't want to become repetitive. But then I think sometimes it's good to be repetitive so people get the message, people are like more informed, and then it becomes this archive.
My book is really about using editorial to push back, and your work is really about picking up the camera. Each of the places that I've lived, there have been issues, whether that's mould or whatever. And so it's really important for me to write about those experiences and write about other people's stories, because they tell me all the time. And I think that is important because as a journalist, not a lot of people have had that experience, so you often get people reporting who don't really know.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard for me to like understand why I make these works. I think there was a fatigue of things that I wasn't seeing, and then I just made it kind of being selfish in a way, but also a slight obsession. And so if anyone in 10 years or 20 years down the line or whatever, and see how Hackney or seeing how London has changed, they can refer to the work and like they get a nugget or they get some information rather than, I read lots of books, but it's like you can visually in 3 minutes see that, and I don't, and you've seen it visually, like there's no, words or whatever. So that's why I make and continue to make it. I think there's like an innate weird obsession.
I think you're right about preserving an archive, because both our work is really about that. It's about looking around and saying, this is what I can do. This is a small contribution.
Yeah, a small contribution. I think, yeah, that's a good way to end. Yeah.